Welcome, sweet beloveds of light. Welcome to Ascension Live, broadcasted live from Ascension Temple, my home temple, which is in the red rocks of Sedona, Arizona. And so there is being transmitted to you the frequency of my own self, as well as the frequency of Sedona, Arizona, this amazing place that is a vortex through which the higher dimensional energies come into this sphere of the earth and then is distributed to the rest of the earth through the ley line and the grid system. Ascension Live is offered, given, transmitted every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Instagram, and every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook. And also most of the things that are offered on Facebook as well as on Instagram find their way to YouTube. Some things are shot originally on YouTube. Be sure and check out all of those platforms. More than 670 videos between the platforms of Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I feel so honored and blessed to be touching so many people on these platforms. You know, now more than 2.7 million views. I am so honored and blessed and touched that so many of you are partaking of these transmissions and receiving the blessing and the benefit that they have to offer. Be sure and check out my website, astarius.com. There's a great number of musical albums and a couple of books that I've created that are available there. I am also available for intuitive astrological readings, sound healing transmissions with didgeridoo and vocal harmonics. I also practice Reiki. Been teaching Reiki since 1993. And when I don't have group trainings available, then one-on-one trainings are available when there is the availability or the mutual availability of time for that. And Sedona, Arizona is an amazing place to receive the transmission of the Reiki initiation attunement. I'm also offering those attunements virtually, you know, because there's many people that will not necessarily make it into the area to be able to do something with me in person. And be sure and give your comments. Many times people are blessed by your comments. I don't read them all in the process of the transmission, but I do read everything after the fact and definitely send you some love at that point. I have a wonderful transmission for you today. I had my alarm set this morning for 8 o'clock, and Spirit woke me up at 5:30 and says, Astarius, you have some work to do. And then brought forth this transmission, which is entitled Behind the Mask of COVID-19. The entire transmission came as I was still laying in the bed. My feet never really hit the floor until I was complete. I put it into my notes, turned on the voice transmission, and spoke the entire download into the phone. So you'll be some of the first to actually hear this. Behind the mask of COVID-19. Here is the story of COVID-19, a deadly virus that's come on the scene, trying to blind us with fear and divide us with woe. But we are much stronger than this virus knows. We are born of Creator from heaven above. Our deepest being is wholeness and love. Heart, mind, and soul divinely immune. Empowered we are by this would-be doom. While holding that space of 6 feet apart, be in your love and share from your heart. Our life is infinite as God's own breath. So don't be assaulted by fear of death. We walk down the halls of eternity. So calm down, beloved. We are safe. We are free. Let's see what is needed so our prayer will be heeded. Let's see it as though we've already succeeded. Health and wholeness is our divine birthright. Affirming this will thus heal our plight. Though things seem worse than our darkest dream, we will find our way. We will be redeemed. To a world without fear and malicious control, a new paradigm is about to unfold. No mask will drive a wedge between us, won't silence our voice, won't break our trust, won't rob us of breath, won't taint us with fear. Our heart, mind is open. We are strong. We are clear. No matter what crisis this virus will bring, we are empowered by everything. With eyes of God, we see past the lie. Where sickness will perish and death will die. When I brought forth this transmission, I felt so much up-leveling in my being, so much empowerment within my being. But there are so many purposes within purposes around the COVID-19 experience, around the world crisis that we are in. Agendas within agendas within agendas. And most of which do not have our best interest at heart. So let's break this down a little bit and go a little bit deeper into the meaning that the Most High has brought forth through my being. Here is the story of COVID-19, a deadly virus that's come on the scene, trying to blind us with fear and divide us with woe. But we are much stronger than this virus knows. It can't win. Any virus, any sickness, any maliciousness, any negativity is a temporary anomaly along the course of time. As we experience many of the protests that are taking place outwardly, I recognize the appropriateness of everything that is taking place. Everything is a catalyst for a greater understanding, a greater awareness, and ultimately a greater empowerment. And I want to bring us to consciousness regarding the inner protest of the internal intending. You see, as I say, but we are much stronger than this virus knows. We are much stronger than any of the malintentions that are attempting to take advantage of this virus to engage in mass control and malicious manipulation. And all of the manipulation that we experience among some of the systematic powers that be, it's not all coming from those who are of the planet Earth. Some of it is extraterrestrial. There are also beings that don't really live on the Earth. They are off-planet beings that have some investment in controlling the Earth. And many of the power figures are actually puppets of some of the off-planet energies that have malicious intention toward the Earth, that bring forth an energy to bring about separation and war and confusion and fighting between us, and a sense of separation between us. In the next stanza, I say, we are born of Creator from heaven above. Our deepest being is wholeness and love. See, our deepest being, we are already the full depth and expanse of wholeness and love. And when we fall into sickness and imbalance, that too is a temporary anomaly along the course of time, whose days are numbered. We'll never stand the test of eternity, yet we will. For we are co-creator or co-eternal with God, with Creator Source. The very fabric of Creator Source has been breathed into us. When God breathed the breath of life into us and we became living soul extensions, it was Creator Source breathing the very fabric of Creator's own essence and being into us, making us a microcosmic expression of the macrocosmic all that is within our Creator. We are the microcosmic container of the macrocosmic all that is. And so it's time to own our divinity, which is why I say heart, mind, and soul, divinely immune, empowered we are by this would-be doom. We are empowered by everything, but we must intend it. We must feel it, see it, sense it, know it, intend it. And when you're in your prayer, beloved, when you're in your intending, beloved, be in your prayer and be in your intending with the praying and intending power of God, Goddess Almighty. Some of you love the frequency that I bring forth, and it is such because I know and own the macrocosmic divinity of my soul. I know that I am this microcosmic expression of the macrocosmic God, Goddess, Absolute. And I know that is you also. No more renting with option to buy. Let's own who we are. And while holding that space of 6 feet apart, be in your love and share from your heart. We want to remember that as we are engaging in the social distancing, because there are some malicious intentions wanting to capitalize on social distancing and drive a wedge between us to get us feeling a sense of separation, feeling a sense of being afraid of each other. If I am afraid of you, I am afraid of me by extension. Let's walk in the light. Let the mystery unfold. Walk in the light. Let our God, Goddess power unfold. The more there is this projection of control, there are some things that are really wanting to tamper with, bigger than our civil liberties, our God-given right to free will, greatest gift of Creator to all of us, free will to choose which way we're going to go. And yes, I think it's very appropriate that we not be allowed to hurt. When we see one of us hurting another, there is some appropriateness in that intervention. But there are some measures of control that have nothing to do with preventing us from harming each other. Some of it holds the intention of a malicious manipulation. And some are puppets who promote that and don't even know the forces that are driving them. And yet all of it is still us. Those who are in malicious controlling tendencies, is that part of us, dancing in maliciousness, dancing in lower frequency. So we don't want to be mad with that, or those who engage in that way, but to hold a higher vision, to see the possibility of redemption. Our life is infinite as God's own breath. So don't be assaulted by fear of death. That's one of the problems in our world, is that so many do not understand the essence of death. When one lays down a body, they move from one aspect of life to another. When we die in the physical, we move into a reality of life that does not require a body. You don't have to really fight so hard to preserve the life that we all are, which is eternal and will never cease to be. And in the course of our evolvement, we shall lay down many bodies through the change that we call death. But that is the entry into another dimension of life. If we as a society were not so afraid, of what's on the other side, we wouldn't maliciously fight for the preservation of physical life. And there's a great empowerment in understanding that any and every one of us who will choose to cross over through the change called death by way of COVID will do so because that is what they have chosen. And not one of us can stop that. When a being has chosen that their contract is complete, they are done for this plane and move on to the other side, but never cease to be, because they too are co-eternal with God. There's a great empowerment in our knowing the eternality of our being. When we know that, we will lessen the tendency to want to manipulate and control in the name of the preservation of physical life. Because there's a life that preceded physical life. We were life before we came into these bodies, and we will be life when we leave these bodies. Knowing that allows for the softening of our heart and lessening the tendency to want to manipulate and control others in the name of protecting them. Because we walk down the halls of eternity. So calm down, beloved. Calm down, beloved. We are safe. We are free. Relative to that something within us that's co-eternal with God. Let's see what is needed so our prayer will be heeded. Let's see it as though we've already succeeded. What we see is what we get. If we're seeing the wrong stuff, if we're seeing negativity, what we want to do is to, forget and create a new vision. See differently. Health and wholeness is our divine birthright. Affirming this will thus heal our plight. See, so often we let our attention become hijacked by fear, hijacked by worry. If you're caught in the fear and the worry machine, you're breathing life force into the possibility of outcomes that you really don't want. We have to keep our gaze focused upon the realities that we want to come into fruition, because each one of us are powerful creators, and every minute of our life we're creating by virtue of what we're thinking, what we're seeing, what we're affirming, what we're visualizing, what we're intending. But let's not intend by default while engaging in fear, because fear is its own intention and fear is its own expression of faith. Though things seem worse than our darkest dream, we will find our way. We will be redeemed. We'll be redeemed to a world without fear and without malicious control. A new paradigm is about to unfold and is in fact unfolding. That's why we see the crumbling of the old paradigm. It's a new day. The Aquarian age is an age of brotherhood, of sisterhood, of benevolent love, and having each other's back, having each other's caboose. It is an age that reflects a greater measure of a peopleocracy, where the masses have more governmental charge over what's unfolding, because we so have each other's back that we will not be malicious towards each other, and we will not have to be forced into taking care of each other, because that will be the natural, effortless mandate of our own individual hearts and souls. A world without fear and malicious control, a new paradigm is about to unfold. No mask will drive a wedge between us, won't silence our voice, won't break our trust, won't rob us of breath, won't taint us with fear. Our heart, mind is open. We are strong. We are clear. Just recently, a few days ago, the mayor of Sedona brought down a mandate for it being mandatory to wear the mask. And there's a lot of mandates like that going on around the country and maybe even around the world. I understand the protocol of wanting to keep this virus from spreading. That's an appropriate protocol. And yet there are some other energies that have gotten woven into that's not honoring the free will choice given to us by God, and even our civil liberties. So we want to know that there is no mask that can drive a wedge between us, because some of the malintent behind the mask and the social distancing is to breed a sense of separation between us, that we feel separate from each other, that we feel afraid of each other. See? The mask also covering the throat chakra, where we speak our truth, walk our talk, stand in our emotional honesty. So we want to know that that mask will not silence our voice. We want to affirm that and make sure that we are transcending any dark intentions that may be capitalizing on the experience of the mask. See, it won't break our trust. We want to trust in ourselves. We want to trust in each other. We want to trust in our healthiness and our wholeness, because we help to bring that into manifestation. Immunity is first and foremost spiritual, mental, and emotional. When we have spiritual, mental, and emotional immunity, then the body's gonna be strong. But we have to start looking at things beyond just the body. We are more than the body. We are feelings. We have a feeling body, a mental body, a spiritual body. All of those being of higher resonance than the physical. And the physical has manifested according to what's being generated from the spiritual, mental, and emotional domains of our being. When we have the right consciousness. So right now, beloved, let's be of a consciousness of wholeness. Not just the wholeness of our individual self and being, but the wholeness of the all that is, which is also our own self by extension. See? And the mask won't taint us with fear. Don't let the mask taint you with fear. Spirit told me that every time I see a mask, rather than being mindful of the fear that might be behind that mask, to make an affirmation that this being is redeemed and transcendent beyond all fears. This being behind that mask knows their wholeness, knows their safety, knows their benevolence, and knows their divine intention toward other beings, and aligns with their own sense of receptivity to attract those to them who are of benevolent intent. Let's create appropriately, beloveds. We are powerful. Bring consciousness to the alignment of transcending forces that would like to manipulate and control us, that would like to rob us of our freedom. See, our heart mind is open. We are strong. We are clear. Be at resonance with the reality of your strength. You're never not strong. You can't not be strong. What you can do is let your attention be hijacked away from your eternal strength and be in the illusion and pretense that you're weak, while simultaneously there is this greater expanse of your being standing in the circle of eternity, not only being strong, but being omnipotent, all powerful, like unto our Creator from which we have descended. We carry those qualities: omnipotence, all powerfulness, omniscience, all-knowingness, infinite intelligence, and omnipresence, awareness of being evenly present everywhere. Let the omnipresent awareness of the solution to all of the world crisis that exists within our future come forth now into this now memoration. Let us pre-memorate the victory of those future times and bring that full frequency into the now memoration of this now moment and come home to our absoluteness. And let the now memoration, this now moment, and this now reality on this now earth receive the benevolent healing and upleveling and wholeness that is the reality of our ascended earth of the future. That's part of the new paradigm. The earth is going through an ascension process. Many beings have ascended from the earth, and now the earth itself is ascending into fifth dimensional and beyond. And only those who are in accord with that fifth dimensionality and beyond will be able to maintain the peopling of the earth. Those who remain on earth are those who align with the upleveling of earth. And that's part of why we will experience a mass exodus with many people leaving the body in mass. But that's not a bad thing. It's just those parts of us moving on into another adventure. And even when the earth goes into its fifth dimensionality and beyond, there will still be a three-dimensional planet for those of us who are still caught up in war and separation and maliciousness and control and manipulation, who still need to work through that. There'll be a three-dimensional planet for that, but it won't be Mama Earth, because Mama Earth has paid her dues in the third dimensionality, in this third density. So that's part of what's happening. Be strong, beloved. Know who you are. Be not afraid. Be empowered by everything. You know, with every bit of this pushing against the freedom of the masses, there is a sacred and a divine pushing back. And some of it is, or the greater measure of it even, is taking place internally. Many of you light workers know of what I speak. Doesn't even have to be a whole lot of outwardness. You know, I am mirroring it for you in this transmission, because some of the projections of manipulation and that which is moving against the civil liberties and the God-given free will is triggering this responsiveness within me, within many, many light workers, within many beings. Darkness will not win out. Negativity, pain, fear, hatred, always the surface, can't be the center. Light, love, God, benevolence, brotherhood, sisterhood own the center of everything. Just like the eye of the storm, in the center of all of that turbulence, and being that place of pristine calm. Be aware of that resonance of your being that is the eye of the storm. The I am of the storm. We are in a storm in life right now. Be in the I am of the storm, the eye of the storm. Be in the sacred pause. It's not limbo. It's not between a rock and a hard place. Even if it seems like you're on lockdown and quarantine, greater truth. You're in the eye of the storm, the I am of the storm, that sacred pause, that stillness in slow motion, where in stillness we wait for clarity about the next step, about the next adventure, about the next solution, about the next transformational gesture. We are in stillness and slow motion, the sacred pause, the eye of the storm, the I am of the storm. No matter what crisis this virus will bring, we are empowered by everything. With eyes of God, see past the lie, where sickness will perish and death will die. This is what we're meant to do now. With the eyes of God, let us see past the lie. We are not at the mercy of sickness. Even when we cross over into the other dimension and lay down the body, we're still not at the mercy of sickness. Sickness has simply been a servant unto us to facilitate our crossing over. Because once the crossing over takes place, once again that being is in the robust exuberance of the divine nature, which is beyond all dis-ease. Let us not be assaulted and molested by fear and woe. Come home. Come home. Come home. And sickness will perish, and death will die. Thank you for receiving that download. Oh my God. Felt so good moving through. I think at this point, I need to play my didgeridoo. And everything that I just said to you with words, I will now say to you with my didgeridoo. I love you. I thank you for coming home to yourself. I thank you for remembering that you're meant to be empowered by everything. I thank you for allowing the up-leveling of your faith, your courage, your exuberance, your vitality, your wholeness, your wellness. I thank you for knowing that for you, and I thank you for knowing that for all others, for all of us. Blessed be the sacredness of this moment. Oh my God, just have a couple more things to say. Might have time for one or two to bring you on live with me. Just one other thing about the mask I want you to be conscious of when wearing it. To remember that when you're not wearing that mask to bring a massive amount of breath into your body, you see, the oxygenation of the brain cells is dependent upon taking in full oxygen, which you don't get behind the mask. Also, in the expelling of the breath, there are certain impurities that we release during the exhale. So when wearing the mask, there is also the tendency to inhale back into your being impurities that have been exhaled out. I am not telling you to not honor the protocols, but I am telling you to find ways to keep from being debilitated by the protocols. When you can, leave that nostril so that you can get breath in through the nostrils. When you're in establishments where that's what they require, be with that protocol. Don't be mad with the protocol, but be of the intention that we will transcend malicious manipulation that wants to take away our God-given rights and sacred civil liberties. So when you're not with a mask, bring in massive amounts of breath, which then oxygenates the brain cells, therefore making the mind sharper. I spoke with many of the cashiers that had to wear the mask all day long, and they talked about how weary and off-centered they would sometimes get. And I knew that it has something to do with the brain being a bit oxygen-starved. And let's hold the intention that those who are putting these laws into place will be accelerated in consciousness where they see other realities associated with this. And that there are other things that can be debilitating to the health and the wholeness that's tied into the very thing that they're promoting and trying to make mandatory. I love you so much. Oh, and I want to let you know that I'm going to be sure that the words for this piece, this Behind the Mask of COVID-19 will be available. It won't be on Instagram because it's too many words for Instagram, but you will find it, on Facebook. You'll find it on YouTube. If not today, in the next day or so, you'll find it there. And also some of the words to previous pieces that I've recited that I've not made available on there. But I'll make all of this available to you. Please share this piece, recite it. It's tremendously powerful. And it's a way that we can come into synergy within the world. Remember, Ascension Live is given every Friday on Instagram at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, is given every Monday on Facebook, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I am available for intuitive astrological readings and healing transmissions of sound with didgeridoo and vocal harmonics, and Reiki, also teaching Reiki. So if any of those things can be of benefit, I also graciously receive donations. I have a donation button on my website, astaris.com. I also receive donations via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and all of those things. There's my commercials. Thank you for submitting your comments. And thank you for remembering who you are. So I don't see any requests to get on live with me. So I'm going to go ahead and close this transmission, but going once, going twice. If there is anybody, and I'm going to just take a little scroll back and see if somebody already made that request. Okay. Not there. Okay. And okay. So I don't see any there. Coming back here to see if anyone has dropped in at the very tail end of things. Okay, well, it's all good. then I'm sure that I said a sacred mouthful. And so we don't necessarily require any other beloveds to come on in this moment. Be strong, beloveds. Be wise. Be consciously aligned with your divine wholeness, with your divinity, with your God and goddesshood. And know that all is well in the kingdom of you. And so it is.